Holla ballers, what's going on? It's Preacher, and I've got a topic of conversation for you today. I've been making all the guides where I can. My son is currently in hospital again. But when I'm getting the free time to actually make some content for you guys, I've been making a lot of guides and also working on the next top 5, which is going along really well. I think you're going to very much enjoy it. The big feedback I'm getting is, Preacher, what about this talent? What about this talent? What about this? What about this glyph? You know, I've armored people, they're using this glyph, they're using this talent. They disagree with what you're saying. I went on X website and it told me this, and then I went on your channel, you told me this, and then I went on another website and it told me that. Oh, it's a burden, man. It is a full burden, especially for people who like to make some guides and stuff for you guys. It's really, really hard. And so we've got to put this topic out there, especially as Mist of Pandaria draws to a close in the next couple of months, next few months, and then we see the new expansion coming up. What is the ideas that we want to change for whatever the next expansion is going to be? If it is the depths below or whatever it might be, what do we want to see changed? Personally, for me right now, the talent system is just an absolute fucking pain in the ass. And I take that from the standpoint of any talent that actually has an effect on DPS. Because what Blizzard's tried to do is create a system where talents shouldn't have a big effect on DPS. It should be situational, almost a Diablo 3 style, which is, hey, this ability is actually better in this scenario. But because Diablo was kind of built around that from the ground up, people took to that very nicely, and they find it extremely difficult to transfer that to WoW. And the big problem is this: people want a definitive answer, and people want to be the best. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that sort of ideal, especially if any players have come from a scenario such as Vanilla, even all the way up to Kata, where there was a definitive spec, there were definitive talent choices, and everything else was garbage. Because let's face facts, on the internet and in games, it's either the best or it's shit. Ask anybody about what mice they own or what keyboard they own. Whichever one they purchased is the best and everyone else's is just dog shit. There's no in between. There's no it comes close to. It is either the best or it is the worst. It's a terrible attitude. It makes no fucking sense, but that is the way of the world. So this idea of talents. Some classes have wonderful talents. Talents which just do something very simple, something very cosmetic, and other people not so lucky. In fact, nearly all talent trees have some sort of spell which has a DPS effect. What Blizzard tried to do was say, hey, these are 3 different styles of play, and they shouldn't have an effect on DPS in the terms of one is much better than the other. What a fucking load of crap. It's a fallacy to begin with. There is no way. If some talent affects DPS, something is going to be better than the other ones, unless they do exactly the same thing. These aren't purely cosmetic talents. I would like to say that the Hunters almost have it correct with the idea of Power Shot and Glaive Toss. They're just 3 simple shots, but then you've got Barrage thrown into the mix. And also Power Shot works in a slightly different way, and it can hit a number of targets. And Glaive Toss is kind of different again. As soon as there is a difference, there's going to be one that is better than the other, and that then nullifies the whole system. The system falls apart very, very quickly. Mages, of course, in my opinion, had it the worst with their awful level 90 talents, which had a significant effect on DPS, again, against what Blizzard set out to do. Is the talent system outdated? Something's outdated. The talent system or the glyph system has got to be considered outdated at this point. Because if you're going to try and balance, and let's face facts, Mist of Pandaria has been the most balanced patch, expansion, whatever we have ever seen. The classes are extremely close to each other, with Warlocks being slightly out of whack thanks to that stupid trinket. But pretty much everything's is closer. Certainly much closer than when we had 31-point talents and we had 3 trees and we could mix and match and do all sorts of craziness with. Super difficult to balance. This system seems to have worked out much better. Let's improve upon it. Let's improve upon it. I want to see this system go because it's creating a lot of confusion. A lot of people don't seem to understand that the endgame players are fully able to respec, swap glyphs, swap talents on a fight-by-fight basis. That's why we have Tomes of the Clear Mind. It's why we do not need to go back to our trainers in order to swap talents, because they're designed around the idea of being able to swap on the fly. This is something that just people aren't accepting. They've had an whole expansion to accept that style of play, but it is not happening. People are still looking for the one true god. They're still looking for the one winner. Which one is best? Why are people telling me it's different? Why, when I armory people, is it different? Why are they swapping gems? Why are they swapping glyphs if this one is superior? Why? And it's just not being accepted. And also there's a weird overlap now between glyphs altering the way spells work and, of course, talents which alter how certain spells work as well. These two systems need to be bundled to one. My idea, if you agree with me that something needs to change, would be to simply have talents be cosmetic changes. If it basically does exactly the same thing and has no effect on spells, we should have a happier time. We want flair, we want gusto. The success of transmog says everything. People give a major shit about how their characters look, widespread across the player base. I don't care what the very top end and the very bottom end want to do. The majority of people in the mid end want to look good, but they also want the best spec. Let's take that choice away. Talent specs used to be fun, but they're not that fun anymore. There's no big difference between having certain talents. Nobody cares. It's not like you are a combat rogue or a mutilate or assassination rogue or sub-rogue. Those are decided with your specialization, so you're not losing the uniqueness of your class. Talents are an issue. They're trying to balance talents about some classes that have 3 completely different roles, 4 in the druids cases, and then trying to make 3 talents per tier that work for all of them. Just look at the fucking size of druid talent tooltips. It's not working. It's crazy to try and balance 3 talent choices around 4 roles. It's just idiotic. The maths don't add up to start with. What I want to see is that talents are purely cosmetic. They either alter effects, they make you move in a different way, but they still give you the same run speed. I would love to see things like the Paladin movement speed options. They're fantastic. They basically do exactly the same thing, but are ever so slightly different and don't have a huge effect on DPS, if any. You're not going to be down at the bottom of the meters because you chose one of them. However, if you choose Rune of Power as a Fire Mage, you're likely to be hugely worse off. Hugely worse off than the mage that chose Invocation. It just makes no fucking sense. I want to see big spells that affect DPS baked into the class. Look again at the Paladin. Avenging Wrath, just baked in. That should not be a talent and anything like that. It shouldn't be Holy Avenger or something else, or Divine Purpose, which has RNG mixed into it, and then people are doing excessive amounts of mathematics to try and work out which one is best. Because they work so differently. Who is using these spells in a certain way? And then they go, well, even the maths proves they're pretty close, but which one is better? No matter how many times in my guides do I say, it's a talent choice based on what the encounter demands of you. It doesn't matter. People just still don't get it. They're not clear on it. They want a definitive answer. Or they come and ask me, what do you think for this boss? What do you think for that boss? And the system is clearly not working in that respect. All talents should be something cosmetic if it's going to remain. And that then puts them into the category of almost being glyphs. So now we've got the talent system and the glyph system. Which one is better? The glyph system's kind of had its day, in my opinion. The glyph system has had its day. There are many classes out there who can't even find 3 good glyphs. And we have about 20 to choose from. That's just insane. That is absolutely baffling, is that we have 20 choices of glyphs. And still, people are unable to find 3 that are worthwhile. That tells you that system is just oversaturated with useless shit that does not need to be there for the sake of having the glyph system. Is there glyphs that literally exist purely to pad out the fact that a glyph system is in the game? One of them needs to go. The talent system having effects on DPS, I can only feel right now in the game is just a detriment. It's just a question that's not needed to be asked. I want all the major spells that have an effect on DPS to just be baked into the class, because that's going to be the easiest system. Your talent choice should be cosmetic, should be trivial things that have a very minor effect on something that does not include DPS, survivability, all the things that we need to balance around for arena and PvE. I'm not going to ignore PvP on this point. It needs to be decided. What do you guys think? Are you sick of the talent system? Does it annoy you that you're always looking for the best? I think that is the big question. We are predetermined to find out which is the best. And sometimes there is no best. Sometimes it changes on a fight-by-fight basis. Do you like swapping your talents in and out? Or do you find it a little bit frustrating that you have to go, I have to think about this a little bit. I personally don't mind it that much. For me, personally, I like to say, oh, in this fight, I'm going to try this talent. I think it will be better. But a lot of people, and I mean a hell of a lot of people, do not think that way and do not like it and are always looking for the best. Always looking to min-max, as it's called, in a system that is not designed to be fully min-maxed. The current system is not designed around that. It's designed around choice. But that choice leaves us with this fallacy of there is always going to be something better. There is no way Blizz can make a system where all 3 talents result in similar results. It's just not possible. They might be close within a few thousand DPS, or even a few fucking hundred. But when that few hundred exists, people won't care. They will just go for what is best. What do you guys think? Let me know. Take it easy, ballers. I'll see you again.